I will now activate the recording for the Google Meet. Okay, once again, good afternoon, 9H. We're now on week 3, the final week for week B. So hopefully by this week we're able to finish up all the things that we need to accomplish, and we need to accomplish for this quarter. At the same time, we need to accomplish for or in relation to our second module. So please take note that it's very important as you join our Google Meet. I believe that this has been emphasized to you multiple times to make sure that your microphone is functional. You can perfectly hear me. At the same time, the audio, so that you can clearly hear my explanation or my discussion for this session. And of course, as much as possible, if your internet connection will allow, please make sure to turn on your cameras. And of course, if it's not really possible and it will only result for you to be disconnected, I understand that you will not be turning on your camera for our session this afternoon. But later on, during the course of our session, I expect that you will still interact with me through the comment section as part of course, your presence here inside our Google Meet. So here is our structure or the setup for our session this afternoon. And hopefully, we have enough time to really accomplish all of these segments of our session. So we will start with the engage. This is the part wherein we will establish the connection between the things we've learned in our previous sessions and what we will be learning for this afternoon. And of course, I will be presenting later on our goal or objective for this session, and then after that, we will try to check or evaluate the things we've already learned from our previous discussion or the things you've learned beforehand. So for the explore, we will be having our formal discussion for this afternoon, and then hopefully, if we still have time, I can give you um, the instruction for the evaluation or our worksheet or our formative assessment for this afternoon. And then later on, I will also emphasize or explain to you the things we will have for for this week as part of our heads up. So let us now begin our engage. So far, we're now on the second module, so I assume that you have already downloaded and more or less are familiar already with the contents of our module number 2. So for the second week of this quarter, we have been focusing our attention on the two organ system. So here is an image showing the side-by-side relationship or the side-by-side interaction between the two organ system. Now, based on the image, can you still identify what are the two organ systems that we have been focusing for at least the second week of this quarter? Anybody?
Heart and lungs.
Okay, take note, the question was organ system. So it's the system in the
Circulatory.
body.
Respiratory.
Yes, very good, Miles. Correct, Lawrence. It's the circulatory and respiratory, or respiratory and circulatory. So last week, we have been focusing our attention on the two organ system, namely the human respiratory and the human circulatory system. So aside from that, we also discuss the different functions of this organ system, as well as the individual parts and the individual functions of these parts. So we have here an image on the screen, right? So based on this image, which organ system do you think is depicted on the picture? Is this a sample of the respiratory, or this is the sample of the circulatory system? Anyone? The picture depicts which organ system? Does it depicts the respiratory or the circulatory system? Yes? Do you have answers? If you want, you may answer through the comment section.
Circulatory.
Okay, according to Marinel, this is circulatory. Yes, this is or this particular image is actually showing us the circulatory system, and it is also showing us the main function of the human circulatory system, and that is to supply the necessary oxygen and nutrients to the different parts of the body, as well as the removal of carbon dioxide and other waste products from the cells. Sorry. So, we've learned from the circulatory system that there are different components. And one of the most important component for the circulatory system is that we have the heart. Now, it is acting as the pumping organ, or the organ that is responsible in terms of generating the needed pressure so that blood will continuously flow inside the blood vessels. So as you can see here, we have an image showing the flow, sorry, inside the heart. So last time we've learned that there are 4 chambers and 4 valves inside the human heart. Okay? So let's continue. So, as you can see that aside from the different flow of blood inside the heart, we can also take note that the heart, based on this image, is in color coded in two. We have the blue area, and then we have the red area, or the parts that are shaded in red. So for today, we will be exploring and discovering the two different pathways as blood travels inside the blood vessels. And these are called the two blood circulations, particularly named as pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So please take note that for our session this afternoon, this is found on our textbook, page 38 to 39. So for those who have their textbook with them, you can find this session or this topic on page 38 to 39. So it's about the pulmonary and systemic circulations. So for our objective for this afternoon is our focus is on how to trace or to trace in writing the two major circulations in the human body. So as I've mentioned, it's called the pulmonary and systemic circulation. So before we go to our discussion this afternoon, let us check if we can still remember the things we've covered from week 2, right? So I have here 2 questions, and they are very simple questions, more on recalling or remembering facts regarding circulatory system. So let's start with question number 1. So you may opt to um, unmute yourself and then answer directly. Or you may also type your answer on the comment section. Then I will read it from there. All right. So the first question is, what are the 3 indispensable components of the circulatory system? Anyone who has an idea? What are the 3 indispensable components of the circulatory system? Okay, let me check the comment section in case somebody answered through the comment section for a while. Okay, anyone? Do you have answers for this one? Okay, we have an answer coming from Miles. According to him, we have the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. Okay, anybody else? Or do you have the same answer as what Miles gave from the comment section? Anyone? Wala na ba? Okay, we have here Rupert, we have heart, artery, and veins. Okay. So far, Miles and Rupert have the same answer in terms of the heart. So they both answer the heart. Okay, let's have another one. Anyone? What are the three indispensable components of the human circulatory system? Do you agree with Miles and do you agree with Rupert regarding their answers? Okay, so wala pa may nag-answer. So, let me now, okay, we have Marinels. Yes, same chair. Okay, thank you for that. So, let's clarify some of the answers from Miles and then from Rupert. So, correct, the heart is part of the component of the circulatory system. So, yes, that's correct. Now, blood is also a component of the circulatory system, but we know that blood itself has also its subcomponents. Later on, we'll learn that last week we've learned that it is composed of the red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Now, we also have the third, an equally important component of the circulatory system. We have the blood vessels. So, in our layman's term, we call them the ugat. And we know that there are different forms of blood vessels. Okay. So that is actually the question for number 2. So what are the three types of blood vessels in the human circulatory system? So as you can see here, I gave an image on the screen or in the PowerPoint presentation as a guide. So anyone who can enumerate or um, enumerate the different types of blood vessels in the human circulatory system. Again, same thing. You may answer through your microphone or you can answer through our comment section. So what are the blood vessels, different blood vessels? Okay, we have Ira, we have arteries, veins, capillaries. Same with Aliana, arteries, veins, and capillaries. You also have Miles, artery, veins, and capillaries. So as you can see here, if you look at actually our picture on the screen, we have artery or arteries as one of the three blood vessels in the human circulatory system. Now, it's very important that how we can differentiate the three is that it's not the type of blood it carries, but rather it is identified based on its movement or flow of blood inside the blood vessel. So, if it's an artery, it's actually carrying blood away from the heart. Artery away from the heart. So, the reference point is the heart and it's moving away from the heart. Now, capillaries, on the other hand, are smaller or finer compared to the other blood vessels. And this is also the blood vessels that allows the mixing of two bloods or two types of blood. The one that is oxygenated or oxygen rich, and then we have the deoxygenated or the oxygen poor blood. So capillaries are very unique in the sense that it allows them the mixing of blood between the two um, types of blood or the one that's oxygenated and deoxygenated. And lastly, we have the veins. So the veins are actually the blood vessels or ugat that carries blood. Take note, it's towards the heart or in the heart or inward. So vein inward, arteries away. So that's how we can remember it easily. So let us now do the exploration. So look at this image here. So this image actually shows us the two circulations in the human body. And this is actually compared to a complex highway system or traffic system wherein the blood vessels are compared to individual roads or alleyways wherein blood is transported just like any vehicle. So, as you can see here, if you imagine our um, road systems here in the Philippines, they are designed in such a way that, of course, we're able to access different parts of the city. At the same time, it's safe for all of the passengers who are, and especially the drivers, so that we will have a very safe and comfortable transportation or journey um, as we go to the place that we want to go. So in this case, same thing with the circulatory system. It must follow a certain order or certain pattern so that it will maintain a safe and efficient way of transporting the necessary materials or substances to specific parts of the body. So let us emphasize that in this picture, we can actually see the two distinct pathways, namely, we have the pulmonary circulation and then we have the systemic circulation. In some references, they are called pulmonary pathways or pulmonary circuit. And while for systemic, it's sometimes called systemic circulation, systemic circuit, or systemic pathway. Regardless of its name, of course, they actually means the same. One is pulmonary and the other one is systemic. So this is our focus now. We will highlight how these two circulations are similar, and we also highlight how these two circulations are different. So let us watch a video. And as we watch this video, here are the guide questions that we need to remember or we need to answer later on. So number one, we have what are the two parts of the blood circulation? And then we have how each of the how does each of the blood circulation work? Okay, so let me now shift my sharing to the tab so that I can share with you the video, okay, for a while. Please take note, I will be turning off my camera so that it will not cause any lag or delays as we watch the video. And later on, I will reactivate my camera when the video is done. Okay, so please take note of the questions that I presented a while ago. We have what are the two parts of the blood circulation and how does each type of blood circulation work?
The cardiovascular system is divided into systemic and pulmonary parts. The systemic circulation carries blood from the heart to tissues of the body and then returns it to the heart. Oxygen-rich blood is pumped from the left ventricle into the ascending aorta. The aorta then makes an inverted U-turn to form the aortic arch, which gives rise to branches that supply the head, neck, and upper limbs. The aorta continues posterior to the heart as the descending aorta, which travels through the thoracic and abdominal pelvic cavities. It supplies the organs of these cavities and the lower limbs. In the systemic capillaries, oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide, resulting in oxygen-poor blood. The oxygen-poor blood enters the right atrium via the superior and inferior vena cava. The pulmonary circulation carries blood from the heart to the lungs for gas exchange and then returns it to the heart. Oxygen-poor blood is pumped from the right ventricle into the pulmonary trunk. The large pulmonary trunk divides into the right and left pulmonary arteries. These arteries transport blood to the right and left lungs. In pulmonary capillaries, carbon dioxide is exchanged for oxygen. This results in oxygen-rich blood that then flows through the 4 pulmonary veins and enters the left atrium.
Okay, okay, I hope you were able to really fully um, observe and understand that the different information that was shared from the video. By the way, I forgot to mention a while ago that the video link is actually available on our module, so you can rewatch it later on. And of course, this video will be very helpful for you later on once we do the formative assessment for this afternoon. Again, the link or the video link is available on our module, so you can rewatch it later and use it as reference as you answer our formative assessment later on. So let's continue. So based on the video, we have here, hopefully this we're now able to answer question number or guide question number 1. So the question is, what are the two parts of blood circulation? So anyone who knows the answer for this guide question? Yes, Miles, we have pulmonary and systemic circulation. So we have been mentioning it since the start of our session that there are two blood circulations. Okay, we have the pulmonary circulation. Okay, pulmonary circulation. And the other one is systemic circulation. Now, let's go to question number 2. How does each type or how does each blood circulation work? Okay, so let's now first um, point out some similarities. Okay, so take note, both circulations from their name, they are of course a process in a way that they follows a certain pattern, a certain form of cycle. So, since it is a cycle, it does not have actually end, but it's actually a continuous process. Another similarity is that we can what we can take note of that is that blood is the common factor between the circulation. And the main purpose of this circulation is to simply transport blood to the different parts of the body. However, what makes each of the circulation different is that there are different parts of the body involved for that particular circulation. So based on the video, which do you think or which circulation involves the heart and the lungs? Is it the pulmonary or the systemic? Again, from the video that we've just watched a while ago, which of the two circulation involves the heart and the lungs? Is it pulmonary or is it systemic? What's your guess? Okay, we have an answer coming from Miles, pulmonary. How about the rest? What's your guess? Which circulation involves the lungs and the heart? Anyone else? Okay, we have Ira. She also said pulmonary. Okay, Rupert said pulmonary. Jade also said pulmonary circulation. So far, I only have here 4 response. Okay, Isa said pulmonary as well. Okay, anyone else? Let's have another respond from the comment section so that we have at least one, two, three, four, five, and six replies from the comment section. Okay, I noticed some of us are experiencing some problems with the internet connection. I noticed that some of us are disconnected and then rejoining the Google Meet. So thank you so much for being patient and for really rejoining, for the effort of rejoining our Google Meet. So the answer to that question is actually pulmonary circulation. So when you talk about pulmonary circulation, the organs that are involved here is between the heart and the lungs. Now, it's very important to note that in this particular circulation, the blood that is carried here is what we call as, or primarily, majority of the blood that is being carried in this circulation is that it's actually the oxygen depleted or oxygen poor, or sometimes it's also described as deoxygenated blood. Now, from the heart, so take note of the reference point, it starts from the heart to the lungs and then back to the heart. The main function of this pulmonary circulation is to replenish or oxygenate the blood with enough oxygen supply. And of course, that is responsible, or that is only made possible if the blood is able to visit the lungs where there is the gas exchange. So take note, to be specific, this circulation involves the right side of the heart, the lungs, and then it will re-enter on the left side of the heart. So it starts on the right side of the heart, wherein, of course, we have the oxygen poor blood. And then when it re-enters the lungs or enters the lungs, it becomes oxygenated because of gas exchange. And then we have then it will return to the heart, this time on the left side. Now, what about systemic? Now, between the two circulation, pulmonary is actually considered the shorter route or the shorter circulation. Why? It's because when you talk about systemic circulation, the organs or the parts that are involved here are the heart and the different parts of the body. Now, this time, this circulation now carries what we call as oxygenated blood, or the blood that has been replenished or resupplied with the oxygen. And then this particular circulation actually begins where the pulmonary circulation ended. Let me repeat that. Systemic circulation actually started where the pulmonary circulation ended. So, if the pulmonary circulation ended on the left side of the heart, that's also the starting point for the systemic circulation. So from the right side of the heart, you will have then the primary artery, or one of the primary artery, which is the aorta, and that aorta will go up and down. We have ascending and descending aorta. It will branch out. The ascending aorta will supply oxygen to the upper parts of the body, while the descending aorta will supply blood to the lower parts of the body. And so, it will go to the specific organs, specific tissues, and specific cells so that the necessary supply of oxygen are being, of course, supplied to that part. And of course, we know that as part of cellular respiration or production of ATP, oxygen is a crucial ingredient. So, for cellular respiration to occur, or for us to be able to produce ATP, the energy that is recognized and used by the body, oxygen must be present. And when oxygen is used, it is actually converted to another form of gas. Can you still remember the converted form of oxygen after cellular respiration? What happens to your oxygen? Does it remain as oxygen, or is it converted to another form? Okay, very good, Rupert. When oxygen is used as part of cellular respiration, it is converted into carbon dioxide. And we know that carbon dioxide is considered a toxic or a toxin inside our body. It must be removed. So, this is wherein the blood that is now rich in carbon dioxide and low in oxygen, it needs to return it to the heart and to the lungs. But for it to reach the lungs, it must go to the right side of the heart and then will undergo another pulmonary circulation, and then the cycle will continue back and forth. So pulmonary and systemic circulation. So just to recap, we have here the right ventricle. So for pulmonary, we have the right ventricle. That's the chamber on the right side, the upper chamber on the right side. It actually acts as a receiver for the deoxygenated blood. And then, of course, the deoxygenated blood is then pushed towards the lungs, and where the lungs will perform the gas exchange, particularly in the air sac. And then we have the inhalation, wherein oxygen from the outside is what you call is taken in by the body to the process of inhalation. And then, because there is now enough supply of oxygen, the blood is now replenished, or what we call as oxygenated, and now will re-enter the heart through the left side, and that is particularly on the left atrium. And then the left atrium will now force the oxygen-rich blood to the left ventricle, ready to leave the heart for the second time. So take note where the systemic, or where the pulmonary circulation ended. That's also the starting point for the systemic circulation. So you will notice here in the summary that the systemic circulation actually begins on the left ventricle, because now the blood is oxygenated. It will now leave the heart, and that is done through aorta. As I've mentioned, there is what we call as ascending and descending aorta. And then it will go to the different parts of the body, particularly the organs, tissues, and cells, to supply the necessary oxygen. And when there is now cellular respiration, your oxygen is now converted into carbon dioxide, and now the supply of oxygen is again depleted. It will return to the right side of the heart through the superior and inferior vena cava, and then we will have another pulmonary circulation. So again, take note, the pulmonary circulation, it involves the heart and the lungs. Heart and the lungs. Right side of the heart, lungs, and then back on the left side of the heart. It is responsible for the reoxygenation, or the replenishment of oxygen in the heart. In the blood, sorry, in the blood, in the heart. Sorry, in the blood, sorry. And then we have the systemic circulation. It carries the oxygen-rich blood, and its main function is to supply the different parts of the body with the necessary oxygen, at the same time other nutrients, so that the body or the individual cells in the body can function properly. So I think that's it for this afternoon. Any questions or clarifications before we go to our formative assessment? Any questions so far?
None, sir.
None? Okay, how about the rest? Do you have questions, clarifications? Okay, wala. So let me now share with you. Okay, let me first open the Silid so that I can guide you where to go. Okay, I have here. Okay, for a while, it's still loading. Okay, kindly go to our Science B class card. Kindly go to the Activities tab. You will find there on the topmost entry. Okay, we have here quiz number 2. Okay, for a while, am I opening this correct? For a while, let me go back. I'm not sure if I opened the right class card. Okay, okay, here, 9H. Okay, kindly go to the Activities tab. Okay, here, I think this is the correct one. So, kindly go to the Activities tab. You will find on the topmost part of the column, you will find there, you have their quiz number 2, pulmonary circulations. I hope you can see it. Let me zoom. Okay, here, I hope that's large enough for you to see. Okay, so if you look at it, you click that. Okay, so there you have the instruction. Okay, so let me read the instruction. Using a schematic diagram or the format of a schematic diagram, write the correct order on how blood circulates through pulmonary and systemic circulations or pathways. You need to include and specify each part involved for each circulation or pathway. In one sheet of paper, make one diagram for pulmonary and the other one for systemic. So I have here a sample of a schematic diagram. So you will notice you have their individual boxes and they are blank. And then beside each boxes, there are actually arrows. The arrows are actually signifying the flow or movement or direction of the process. So in this case, I want you to write on the boxes the individual parts that are involved. But take note, you need to do this on a piece of paper. So I am expecting you to draw this or make this manually. Okay? So what you will do is, of course, following or using this sample. I'm not saying that you will use this number of boxes. Okay? You may use less than this or more than the sample, what the sample is showing. So let me go up here. Now, aside from the sample, I also included clue or hint for you so that you know at least a starting point. So for the pulmonary circulation, the starting point is right side of the heart, particularly superior vena cava. You can also write there and inferior vena cava. So let us say you're making this one as the pulmonary circulation. That means the very first box for pulmonary circulation, what you will write here is right side of the heart, close and open parenthesis, superior and inferior vena cava. Then your task is to simply write the succeeding parts for pulmonary circulation. And then you will also do that more or less the same for systemic, but the starting point for the systemic is the left side of the heart. So here, if this time you're making it for the systemic circulation, the first box now will have the left side of the heart or aorta. Okay? Was that clear to everyone? Take note, you will write this using your pen on a piece of paper, one for pulmonary and another for systemic, but you have to draw this or make this on one sheet of paper so that when you upload, all you need to do is upload one file. So here are some reminders or instructions. Follow the specified tasks above. Take a picture of your output, pulmonary and systemic in one file or one paper. Rename your picture or the file with your family name and section, either in MS Word, JPEG, or PDF format, whichever is available for you. And then, of course, upload the file and then make sure to really click submit in case you'll encounter problems, because sometimes you have uploaded the file but you did not actually click the submit button. So that means the system will not actually accept your, or will not be able to accept your upload. Another thing you need to take note, okay, that the published time is of course today. So I hope it's now available on your end. Later I will verify that from you. And the deadline for the task is until 5 p.m. tomorrow. So hopefully that's enough time for you to finish the task for this afternoon. Okay, questions regarding the instruction or the task? Okay, so if you don't have a question, let me verify from everyone. Okay, kindly um kindly what do you call this? Kindly activate your raise hand button if you already understood or at least have an idea of what to do for our task this afternoon. Again, please activate your raise hand button as a confirmation that you already understood the instruction or the task for our formative assessment this afternoon. Okay? So far, majority of you already raised their hand. Okay, I'm still waiting for Janessa. Do you have problems with the accessibility, Janessa? Okay, thank you for that, Janessa. So that means for those who are here inside the Google Meet, you have already confirmed that you already understood our instruction. Again, I understand some of us are experiencing inconsistent or in um, fluctuating internet connection. I noticed some of you got disconnected. So how about, do you have concerns or questions before I go back to the presentation? So hopefully that's clear to everyone. So let me go back to the presentation here. Okay, let me go back so that at least before I leave the Google Meet, I can give you the final instruction and of course our heads up. Okay, let me first deactivate your raise hand for a while. All right. So for our heads up, please take note, as I've mentioned, that we are now on the final week of week B. We're now on the week before the exam week. So take note, our session for this week, it's stated on the screen and it's actually stated also on our module. So for session 1, we covered the pulmonary and systemic circulation. So for session 2, we will cover the common diseases related to the respiratory and circulatory system. And then for session 3, that's our long test. And then for session 4, we will dedicate this for our review, clarifications, or any concerns in preparation for the third quarter exam. Okay, concerns or questions regarding the schedule for this week? Do you have concerns or questions before? Okay, questions, anyone from the class? Okay, so I hope it's clear to everyone. Okay, thank you for that, Miles and Ira. Okay, so I already stopped the recording process. So hopefully, thank you so much for your participation. Again, I understand some of us have kanang inconsistent internet connection. Please take note, if ever you miss something, it's actually available on the module, especially the link for the video. So I will also share it here para it's readily accessible for you. Okay, let me get the link for the video. Again, as I've said, you can actually use the link, the video as reference as you answer our formative test. So here, okay, so kindly go to the comment section. I actually shared the link for the YouTube video that I used during our presentation. So again, you can use it as reference so that it's easier for you to answer our task for this afternoon. Again, the module is available on the class card, and then of course, the video link is here. Questions so far before I leave the Google Meet? Wala na? Wala na gyud? So again, before I go, please take note for those who have not yet submitted their formal for those who have not submitted their formal pictures, please submit it. And then um, I assume that since you have already an understanding that Miles, you need to submit your informal post to Miles for the editing. Okay, so I think that's it for this afternoon. Take care and God bless everyone. If you have concerns or questions regarding our subject, please do not hesitate to message me so that I can assist you in the best way I can. So take care. Take care and God bless everyone. Stay safe. Bye bye, 9H.
Bye-bye,
Bye,
teacher.
sir. Thank you.